Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Lazy Bay Designs. On this tutorials I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful corset dress. So let's get started. Okay, so these are the materials I'll be needing for my corset dress: my scuba fabric, my lace, my ruler, my satin, pins, my bra cap, my scissors, and tailor's chalk. Okay, and then these are the measurements I'll be needing for my corset: bust 39, waist 34, hip 48. Okay, so my bra cap seems to be bigger than my model, so I then folded it into two and then stitched half an inch from top to down. Okay, so I'll be doing the same thing on the other side of the bra cap as well. So it's going to give me a very cute bra cap that wouldn't be too much bigger for my model. Okay, so this is what I'll be having after stitching. Now the bust measurement I'll be using is bust 39, but let me use bust 40. So bust 40 divided by 2 will give me 10 inches plus 4 inches allowance. That's my 2 inches for my dart allowance and then 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Okay, I wouldn't be starting from the chest line. I'll start from the nipple line. Okay, so from shoulder to nipple is 10.5. Okay, and then to my underbust, to the person's underbust is 15.5, and then to waist 19 inches allowance has been added. Okay, so from waist to hip 10 inches because the person is tall. Okay, I'll be repeating the same measurement on the other side as well. Okay, so to the nipple 10.5, to the underbust 15.5, to waist 19, to the hip 10 inches. Okay, I'll then connect the points with my ruler and then draw my bust curve using my bra cap. Okay, so I'll be placing my bra cap on it, but first of all at the center front, that's on the nipple line, on the center front, I will then leave half an inch before I start with the bra cap measurement. Okay, so I'll then place the bra cap on the half inch I left at the front and then draw my curve this way. Okay, so let me deepen it so that you would know what I'm talking about. So this is what I'll be having after drawing my curve. The next thing to do is to indicate the center for the curve. I had 4 inches, so I'll be indicating the same 4 inches at my waistline, that interval half inch at both sides. Okay, so I'll then connect with my ruler from the waist point connecting to the underbust point. Okay, so waist measurement 34 divided by 4 will give me 8.5 plus the 1 inch for my dart allowance, that is 9.5, and then 2 inches as my sewing allowance, that is 11.5. so I'll be indicating 11.5 at the waist line. Okay, so I will then connect the waist point marked to my hip line. Okay, so hip measurement 49, so let's say hip measurement is 48 divided by 4 will give me 12 inches plus 2 inches as my sewing allowance, that is 14 inches. So I had 14 inches. I will then connect it to my waistline and then connect my nipple line or bust point line to my waist point as well, like this. Okay, I'll then go ahead and then cut out and cut the same thing for my back pieces. Okay, so I will then indicate the center for my dart. That is a 4 inches. I will then connect it to my waist dart as well, the point I marked on my waistline. So this is what I'll be having. Afterwards, I will slope the side connecting to the center front on the hips. So I came down from the waist 6 inches. I connected it to the center front on the hip line this way. Okay, so this is all I'll be having for the front. I'll then cut out and then cut my back as well. Okay, so I wouldn't be cutting out the bra cap shape. I'll then cut out before cutting out the bra cap shape. Okay. Okay, so this is what I'll be having after cutting out my bra cap shape and then cutting out my dart. I then cut the same thing for the back, cut the same thing for my lining pieces, and then cut the same thing on my scuba fabric. The scuba is going to be my interfacing, is going to serve as an interfacing. Okay, so I'll be placing the main front down, that's the center front pieces down, and then place my scuba fabric on top. Okay, so each pieces for the front or the main fabric, I'll then add my scuba fabric on it, like what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll place my scuba fabric on it. I'll then place it on the center front and then sew my dart, have an inch downwards like this, and then sew my dart. Okay, I'll repeating the same thing on my lining pieces. Okay, so this is what I'll be having after sewing my dart. Okay, so the next thing to do is to open my dart this way and then stitch half an inch at both sides, like what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll open it and then stitch half an inch at both sides. Okay, sorry, my camera is shaking because it was on the machine. So as the machine was vibrating, so as my camera. Okay, so as you can see, I'm making sure it's opened so I can stitch on it to enable me pass my bones through it. Okay, I'll then turn it and then sew the other side as well. Okay, as you are sewing, please make sure it's opened. So this is what I'll be having after sewing or top stitching of my open dart. I'll then repeat the same thing on the other side as well, and then repeat the same thing as my center front or the middle. Okay, so after stitching on the lining pieces, I will then go ahead and then cut my pieces to cover my back up. Okay, I will then measure the width and then the length for my back up. So the width for my back up is 8 inches, and then the length is 7 inches. Okay, so I'll be cutting a pieces 7 by 8 inches, but I'll leave like ½ inch or 1 inch allowance. I'll be cutting 4 of the satin and then 2 on my lace fabric, so that I can use 1 satin to line my lace fabric, so that my back cap wouldn't show through the lace. Okay, so as you can see, 1 has been used to line my lace fabric. Okay, and then my other fabric as well, my lining fabric. I'll then fold the lace into 2 this way, indicate the center, and then stitch my dart 1 inch at the top area, 1 inch at the top area, and then 1 inch downwards. I'll be repeating the same method on all the 4 pieces I cut out, like this. So as you can see, that is my dart created. I'll stitch along. Okay, so after stitching along, I'll then go ahead and then cover my back up with the lining pieces or my lace fabric. Make sure you arrange it to fit perfectly, so that there'll be no folds or pleats anywhere. You can pin. As you are pinning, be stretching so that it fits the back up perfectly. Okay, so I'll pin all round, both side and side, top and down. Okay, diagonally, vertically, yeah, I'll pin everywhere of the back up. Then I'll go ahead and then trim the excess from the back up. After trimming the excess from the back up, I will then do the same thing on my lining pieces and then on the other pieces for my lace fabric as well. Okay, so as you can see, I'm done covering my back up. I'll then go ahead and then trim all round. Great, so this is what I'll be having after trimming all round. I did the same thing on the other side of the back up, and then the same thing on my lining pieces. Okay, good. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and then sew my back up attached to my curve created at the front corset, like this, all round. Okay, like what I have done at the other side. Good. I'll do this and then do the same thing on my lining pieces. Okay, so this is my main fabric, and then on my lining pieces I'll repeat the same thing on my lining pieces, so you can see my lining pieces. Good. So the next thing to do is to go ahead and then work with the back. Because there'll be lacing at the back, I'll go ahead and then subtract 2 inches from the back where there'll be lacing, 2 inches. So as you can see, I marked 2 inches downwards, 2 inches upwards. I'll then connect with my ruler and then cut out the 2 inches away. Okay, so after cutting out, I'll be repeating the same thing on the other side of the back as well. Afterwards, I'll place it on the front pieces. I'll go ahead and then shape it according to my measurement, or according to the measurement of my client. Okay, so this is the front wrong side. Okay, after shaping, there'll be excess. I'll then trim it away and then leave like 1.5 or 2 inches as my seam allowance or sewing allowance. Okay, that's the bust measurement. Bust measurement 39. Because it's a back cap, I subtracted 3 inches from the 39 and I add 36. So I did it, and then I did the same thing on my, how do you call it? I did the same thing on my lining pieces. Sorry. Okay, so afterwards I'll place the lining pieces onto the fabric pieces or my working pieces. I'll then go ahead and then stitch on the chest area. Okay, so after stitching on the chest area and then top stitching, I'll then go ahead and then create a hole at the lacing back of, create a casing at the back lacing where we are going to lace. Okay, so I created half an inch casing. That is where I will insert my boning. Okay. Okay, so after stitching half an inch downwards, I'll then come back like 1 inch. I'll come back like 1 inch and then stitch another straight line downwards. So I'll be creating 2 casing at where I'm about to stitch. So I will stitch downwards, stitch another downwards. That is 1 casing, and then I'll stitch another one to make 2 casings. I'll be repeating the same method on the other side of the back. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and then give it a nice press. Give it a nice press and then insert my boning. Okay, so this is what I'll be having after creating my casing at the back. Okay, so the next thing to do is to insert my boning. Okay, that is my half an inch boning. So after inserting the boning, I'll then go ahead and then press the bone. I'll press the bones so that it lies flat. Great. So this is what I'll be having after inserting the boning. It's not ironed, so you could see it's not really flat. Okay, afterwards I'll cut pieces of my lace fabric and then finish the hem area of my corset. Okay, I will then place the lace onto the wrong side and then bring it onto the right side to finish it. Afterwards, my corset is almost ready. In fact, it's ready. So this is what I'll be having after pressing and then finishing the hem area. Thank you all for watching my videos. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do so. Press the notification bell to notify you anytime I upload any video. See you all in our next video. Bye. Okay, so this is the final look after attaching my skirt onto it. So it's a corset and a skirt. So this is my skirt. Kindly like the video and then comment as well.